It further dismissed claims that 80% of the debts had been settled, stating that at best only 30 to 40% of payments had been made, with warrants stopping in May 2025, while contractors continue to execute projects without corresponding payments, thereby pushing total liabilities beyond 4 trillion naira.
Away from that report, the Nigerian army has dismissed as false and misleading the report that soldiers were planning a mutiny over poor salaries, allowances, and welfare conditions. It insisted that the army authorities remained firmly committed to the welfare, discipline, and professionalism of its personnel. In a statement refuting the online report, the Director of Army Public Relations, Colonel Apollonia Anele, described the report as a deliberate attempt to sensationalize issues and undermine public confidence as well as national security. Anele stressed that at no time had there been any threat of mutiny within the Nigerian army, adding that mutiny is a grave offense under military law and is completely alien to the ethos, discipline, and professionalism of Nigerian soldiers. The army further faulted the report for relying on anonymous and unverifiable claims circulated through non-official channels, stressing that such narratives do not reflect the views or conduct of its personnel, who are trained to channel grievances through established military procedures. Meanwhile, the statement clarified that promotion increments are only a component of military pay and should not be misrepresented as total earnings.
Well, still on the nation's security and order, a former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, has commended the Nigerian police force for swiftly arresting the suspects in the murder of a housewife and her 6 children in Kano. Acknowledging the grief that the killings have provoked and condemning the incident, which he described as a devastating tragedy, Obi said the incident has left the nation in deep sorrow. In a statement, the 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate said the horrifying murder of a housewife and her 6 children remained a deep and painful sorrow in the heart of the nation. Commending the police for apprehending the perpetrators of this heinous crime, he said if Nigeria continues to witness firm, consistent, and intelligence-driven responses from the security institutions, the nation will undoubtedly see a meaningful reduction in crime across its communities.
Still on citizens' well-being, former President Olusegun Obasanjo has charged pediatricians to remain compassionate and committed child advocates, assuring of his readiness to support their efforts. Receiving the Executive Council of the Pediatric Association of Nigeria (PAN) in Abeokuta, Obasanjo said pediatricians occupy a unique position due to their direct responsibility for the lives and well-being of children. He noted that the pediatric practice requires not only medical expertise, but also deep empathy, stressing that doctors must be able to feel and understand their young patients' experiences, especially interpreting symptoms for children who may be unable to fully express themselves. Accepting the advocacy role from the association, he assured his responsibility towards children would never end. Earlier, PAN President Dr. Kane Mekure had appealed to Obasanjo to join the association as children advocates. He noted that though over half of Nigerians are children and adolescents, they are beset by preventable diseases, human rights violations, and malnutrition, among others.
While in another development, prelate of the Methodist Church Nigeria, Oliver Abba, has charged President Bola Tinubu and other elected leaders across the country to deliver the dividend of democracy to Nigerians as promised. Speaking with newsmen during the church's 50th episcopacy, Abba, while noting how episcopacy has helped to transform the church in many ways, said many Nigerian leaders are beneficiaries of the Methodist Church. According to the cleric, many Nigerian leaders, either in the past or present, have benefited from the Methodist Church, which he said has not let the society down in any way. He added that this time, elected leaders, including the president, should deliver the dividend of democracy to Nigerians. Abba noted that as the church celebrates 50 years of its episcopacy, The faithful are not merely remembering the past, but also reaffirming their covenant with God, recommitting themselves to holy leadership and repositioning the Methodist Church, Nigeria, for a future of deeper impact.
We now move on to legal matters. The federal government has filed a criminal charge against a senior advocate of Nigeria, Michael Zekome, for alleged forgery and use of false document in a disputed property case in the United Kingdom. The case was brought before a federal high court, Abuja, by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, on behalf of the Attorney General of the Federation. Zekome is accused of presenting forged documents, including a Nigerian passport, to support his claim of ownership of a London property. The charges include giving false information, using forged documents, and attempting to deceive a public authority.
Well, in the same vein, the Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed Thursday, January 22, for the commencement of trial of rights activist Omoyele Sowore over an alleged false claim against President Bola Tinubu. This followed Showore's arraignment by the Department of State Services (DSS) on a 2-count amended charge, including cyberstalking, to which he pleaded not guilty. After taking all the arguments, Justice Mohammed Umar adjourned until January 22 for definite hearing.
Joining us virtually to analyze the news hour is activist and public affairs analyst Sami Uranta. Glad to have you join us, Sami.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening and Happy New Year to you, because this is the first time we're speaking to you this year.
Exactly. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, let's move on to the analysis. Vice President Kashim Shettima has formally opened the Nigerian House at the 2026 World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. And he's saying that this reflects the country's renewed seriousness, readiness, and resolve to take its place as an active participant
at least let Nigeria have a presence at the Davos. But the thing is, we have to not just having a presence. We also have to make it, worth our while, because if you check, a lot of, for example, embassies, Nigerian embassies or high commissions in most countries, there's a lot of issues, that have been recorded. So if we are having, for the Vice President to have gone to unveil Nigeria House at Davos, I pray that they do all that is necessary so that it will not be a minus, but rather a plus and a positive stuff for Nigeria, because the country needs a lot to be done to help show up the country's battered image.
All right. Very well said. Right on point, Sami, as usual. Still, the federal government, again, has launched a new national housing strategy focusing on land reform, urban renewal, and public-private partnerships aimed at addressing the nation's housing deficit. Now, as against, the Nigeria House at Davos, this is what's the while, wouldn't you say, addressing the nation's housing deficit, Sami?
Well, the question of housing for Nigerians is a very serious matter, because for any country to be seen as developed or developing, there are a few basics that must be taken into account. Such a nation must have shelter for their citizens. They must have food, in their stomach, and they must have clothing on their back. These are basic necessities of humans, human needs, not wants at this point. So, trying to get government to declare a decision to create more partnership with the private sector to have housing for Nigerians would be a great news to us. But we're also thinking, praying that they follow through, because oftentimes we hear government talk about things and it's just for saying sake. They don't go the extra mile to ensure that those things are actually done. Because there are a lot of good plans, that have been told in the past. But to make it come true, to make the theoretical proclamation and the practice or practical thing becomes, merging the two becomes a problem. So whatever we are doing, we have to make sure that we match our words with actions so that it will be a reality for Nigerians.
Okay, it's been said that Nigeria's housing deficit is estimated in tens of millions, and we are having this housing program. It aims to deliver 77,400 houses. How realistic do you think this is? We have a deficit of tens of millions, and then this strategy is hoping to deliver 77,400 affordable homes. Do you think that's realistic?
Well, you see, let's start from somewhere. Not doing at all is the problem. So if we can just do a little, at least let's start from somewhere. Because what I have seen in recent time is government agencies demolishing houses, very good houses, estates built by Nigerians with their hard-earned money. Government agencies and parastatals, they form the habit of demolishing these buildings for one thing or one reason or the other. Meanwhile, they will wait for these buildings to be constructed, spend millions and oftentimes billions in constructing those buildings, and they just come and bring the caterpillar to bring those buildings down. So if they can build, even if it's, no matter how little it is, it will help than none at all. But I think the government can actually, build houses for Nigerians through this private partnership with government. But how do we make it real? The quantity planned is small, but at least we can start from somewhere. That's what I mean.
Very well said. I agree with you totally. You must start from somewhere. It is said that Rome was not built in a day, right? Can we address this particular issue? Access to these houses, if eventually it becomes a reality. We've had projects like this in the past where people who these houses are meant for do not even get it. How do you think that this is not the case this time around? How do you think, what should be done to ensure that this is not the case this time around?
You see, there is no assurance, truly, that these houses will get to the people. There is no assurance. You see, I'm trying not to be too critical, but the fact remains that those in authority have a way of, taking over, just the way they loot our treasuries, just the way they take all that belongs to the people, to the masses of Nigerians, our corporate patrimony, the way they loot it and privatize those things to their personal self. It has occurred severally. Our government will do a construction of housing or housing scheme, and those who are supposed to give these buildings to Nigerians on merit will end up taking these buildings to signing it to themselves and their cronies, and then resell it to the people. So it is the corruption we're talking about in Nigeria. And I do not see the buildings getting to the people. Well, all it will be is that when they build it and they take it to themselves, at least it's in Nigeria. That is why when you go to several places, like in Abuja, for instance, you see a lot of buildings that are not occupied. Even here in Lagos, they are not occupied. When you hear an individual will have 700 houses, 50 houses, 100 houses, and most of these houses are locked up, it shows the wickedness of the average Nigerian public official.
I'm actually going to ask you that what uses are the houses if they cannot get to the Nigeria that they are meant for actually. But let's hope that things get better with this particular project and we see Nigerians get to access these houses. But let's look at this story that has come up on the news. Local contractors under the All Indigenous Contractors Association of Nigeria, they have carried out a protest in the Ministry of Finance, and they're saying the federal government hasn't paid or hasn't honored agreements to pay over 4 trillion naira that has been owed them for completed projects. And this is a very funny story because we get to see our government borrow trillions of money, millions of naira, and they say that this is for projects. And now we are hearing contractors say they are being owed 4 trillion naira. What do you make of this?
It is very unfortunate. It's unfortunate because, an economy that is on the downward slide like the one we have here in Nigeria, when government contractors, when they get paid, that payment kind of trickle down into the system, to the society. Those they are also owing, they will pay them. The banks where they collect this money from, they will pay the banks. The banks will have more money to give other people who want money to. And, it helps to buoy up the economy. But when government officials begin to hold back the money meant for some people, meant for contractors, they are not only doing a great disservice to the contractors, they are not only discouraging them, but they are doing a great disservice to the entire nation, to the economy as a whole. Because as they are holding on to this money, those people will not be able to meet up their obligations. The people, the banks too, where they borrow the money, cannot have the money to spread, down the line to other borrowers. So it's a kind of vicious circle that we should avoid. But I don't know, it's the same corruption we're talking about. Otherwise, why will somebody who works for a government not get paid? Why? That is why too, you see the case of abandoned projects. When government pay you a little money, you start, and after a while, you don't get paid for the rest. So even some people have to go and see how they will take some of those things they have already put in place, collect them to go and sell, to earn a living, at least to keep body and soul together. So it's a very bad thing. The government, the Minister of Finance should arrange and pay them the money, because this is a matter of trust. If you breach such trust, you are not doing. Look, those that will come tomorrow, you want to give a new contract, they will need to find a way to take care of themselves because they have seen how you have done, what you have done to those who worked for you before. So, see, when we talk about corruption-free nation, a nation where service delivery, where leadership, is based on service to the people, will mean that they should do that because it's what will augur well for society. Where every society, every little thing counts. If people are working, for example, you don't pay them, you are making those who want to give new work not to believe in the whole system. They want to resort to self-help. Same thing with contractors. If you are not paying them, you are not doing yourself any good, because it will destroy the fabric of the society and the economy. So they should quickly do and pay them their money so that they too can pay the banks and other people. Some of these guys may end up dying out of frustration. It's unfortunate.
I'm hoping it doesn't get to that. But basically, what I hear you say is that this has a spillover effect and it must be addressed.
Of course.
It must be addressed immediately. Well, away from that story, the Nigerian army has dismissed as false and misleading the reports that soldiers were planning a mutiny over the weekend. Now, Sami, I don't know if this takes you back to what happened towards the end of last year, when there were reports all over major publications that there was a coup d'etat, and the Nigerian army till date denied that anything of that sort has happened. Today now, the Nigerian army has said there's no mutiny, that this is just people trying to cause, unrest in the society. What do you make of this?
it is unfortunate that our government agencies that the citizens are supposed to trust in their statements. But you realize that these days, when you hear any government agency deny something, most often time, more than 95% of the time, it's always true. It's always true. When they deny, say, oh, didn't do this, or this didn't happen. No. That could deter that they say was foiled, and government, the issue came up and nobody hears anything about it again. You will just begin to wonder. That issue was denied. Even to today, you don't know, you cannot hold on to anything that is official. During the time of Buhari, we used to hear a lot of fake news. They say fake news. But later we found out that it was actually the government that was the real purveyor of fake news. So now we're in this government, this administration. We have not seen more changes. Government agencies should be able to, when they tell you something, okay, if you cannot get the fact from the government agencies, where will you, is it from the media? Is it from social media? Is it from the street? It gives room for a lot of speculations. So that issue, go and check now. There might be some facts to it. Because we have seen on social media where some soldiers will say, look, I am tired, I cannot hide it again. They will just, blot out what they want to say. Say it, and say, look, you can come and take me. I know I will be arrested. I know I will be court-martialed. And a lot of times they cry because of a lot of issues that are going, that borders on welfare. So instead of coming to deny, I will advise the Nigerian army or Nigerian military to take care of their rank and file. Those that go to the war front, that go to confront the terrorists and bandits and what have you, headers, they should take care of them. Their welfare should be paramount. Because you might be thinking that you have all the power of coercion to stop them from any insurrection or any kind of mutiny, but you can only be too careful, because let it not spill out. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying that welfare is actually very important and
extremely important.
Can actually boost the morale of these military officers, especially in the fight against insurgency.
Yes,
okay.
Denial. Just this denial cannot suffice.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to something that happened in Kano State, and of course, the former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, has commended the Nigerian police for swiftly arresting the suspect in the murder of a housewife and her 6 children. Let me give you a backstory to the story. So a woman and her 6 children, including an infant, was murdered in their home, and the infant was thrown into a well. And now we've seen the police arresting suspects. And then the Peter Obi is actually commending this. What do you make of this swift response by the police officers?
I think our security agencies, when they want to work, especially the police, when they want to work, they will work. But then let us also be very sure that the people, that have been arrested are actually the real suspects. But again, I will also go beyond, the commendation and all that. I also want to state that we cannot be acting, on the promptings of others. When the action has been taken, then we'll go now, that same fire brigade approach, trying to go and find out that reactionary approach. How do we police our environment so that before this thing will occur, we'll be able to nip it in the bud? Because even if you manage to get all the people all the culprits and either jail them or imprison them or even kill them, does it bring back the lives of that family? What about the impact of that to the community? So we must be able to get to the point where we foil some of these attempts before it is carried out. Because if we don't have the real policing system, devolving policing to the local, from the local government to the state government, then to the federal, we will not be able to take care of these issues. But they keep coming. If you attack them here, they go to that side, they hit you, then they run to that side, you go to another side. How long are we going to dwell in this approach, or with this approach? Yeah.
Yeah, land on your thought before I come up with my question. You can land, please. I was saying you can land. You were going to say something. I would like for you to.
What I'm saying is that this government, the president, and this government in its entirety, from the time of Buhari, have been talking about, the devolution of power to especially the policing system. Let them do it. They said they will do it. This government said they are going to do it. When are they going to do it? Is it when Nigerians are all killed? Do the right thing at the right time. I don't know why they are foot dragging. Devolve the policing system. Let there be local policing within the local government level, the state level, then the federal. So that if an attack is coming in, attackers are coming, before they will pass the first layer, the second layer to the third layer, the issue would have been taken care of. But to have it, say, federal police, where they can send someone from, say, Sokoto to come to Rivers State, my state, in one village, he does not yet understand the language, nothing. So this will just be happening and it will be floating like paper or oil on top of water. So let us begin to act on devolving the policing system so that we can secure our society, except that people are, or maybe the majority of Nigerians or those in power are benefiting from this insecurity, because it's so gruesome, it's so disturbing that a family will so be killed by non-entities. Imagine the insult the insult of that to the society, to the environment. It shows that nobody in that society, that environment, that neighborhood will want to sleep with their two eyes closed for weeks to come, for months, maybe years.
All right. You said, apart from issues of, financiers of terrorism and sponsors of terrorism, how about drug-related cases? Now, the person who carried out this murder, one of the suspects, is actually a relative of this family. What could have happened? Is it drug-related? Was it a drug-induced attack on this family? I mean, I want for you to take a look at it. Do you think really what is happening is actually treating the symptom of this case and not the root of it?
I think, I don't know what may have prompted that kind of action, but I believe that if we have, you see, every society, people could get deadly, they could act out of place. But it is the law that strengthens people, that put people into the line, so that they act according to what the law stipulates. But when people find out that if you take some action that you may go free, you may go scot-free, do it and you disappear unscathed, they may want to attempt it. But if you put in place a very tight security, that the person knows that there are layers of policing system, that if I try this thing, there is no way I'll go free. It will serve as a deterrent even before thinking of doing it. So that's what I'm saying. I will not hazard any guess about what led to the action. The thing is, we have to secure our places so that people will feel, they will not just want to act knowing that that they may go scot-free. And again, the issue of justice. People, whenever somebody commits a crime and that crime is not punished, you are sending a very wrong signal to others who may want to think in that line. So every action must have an equal reaction to it. Those who who create or commit such crime must be found out and well punished, so that it will serve as a deterrent. I don't know what may be the reason behind this, but it is bad. It leaves a very bad taste in the mouth.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move away from that. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has charged pediatricians to remain compassionate and committed child advocates and is also showing of his readiness to support their effort. But let's look at this. We have almost a large population of Nigerians as children, but we still get to see that priority is not being placed on the lives and well-being of children. What do you think? What can Nigeria do to ensure that welfare is being given to children, and what they need, or what children need to ensure their malnutrition, especially when it comes to health, to ensure that their health is being taken care of?
You see, I quite align with the former president OBJ on this, because I know that the Nigerian medical system is in comatose. The people on whose shoulders, the responsibility of taking care of our medical system, they've gone on leave. They can, any of them, if they feel headache, they jump into the next available flight, even private ones, and travel abroad to go and get medication. Same thing for their children. So, but for Nigerians, some of us who are here trying to slug it out, there's need for us to take care of our children, because that is the only assurance of perpetuation, that will not all die one day. The younger ones will take our place as people grow old and die. The younger ones will take their place. That is the way to perpetuate, a generation of people or society. So I agree with what the ex-president is saying. All effort must be put in place to ensure that, medical pediatricians should not look at money as the only reason why they are doing their job. They must look at humanity, because before they became medical doctors, they must have taken the Hippocratic oath, which borders on life, ensuring that you save life. So they must work in tandem with the principles of that Hippocratic oath, so that they can, when they finish their job for the day, they go home, they will be able to sleep with the happiness that they have delivered. Taking care of children is very, very important, because if we don't do that, we'll just end up any society that do not take care of their children. That society might go extinct, because somebody once said that a deity or a shrine that does not allow children into the inner chambers of that shrine will go extinct in no time, because the younger one that replaces the older ones as they die and pass on. So it's important that we pay every attention, even if they do not care much about the adult, which of course they ought to. At least let them care for the children, because they are helpless.
In a nutshell, what I hear you say is children are the leaders of tomorrow, and they must be well taken care of.
Sure.
Brilliant as usual, Sami. Thank you so much for joining us again.
All right. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We've been speaking with Sami Ranta. He is a public affairs analyst. You're still watching Newser on Voice of the People TV. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone. And now a policy memorandum by the Sea Empowerment and Research Center, SEREC, has indicted unregulated port and shipping charges as adding 1.2% to Nigeria's annual inflation, potentially derailing the government's ambition to unlock between 7 trillion and 10 trillion naira from the marine and blue economic sector. SEREC noted that the charges, particularly at the Lagos ports, raise import costs, weaken trade competitiveness, and disrupt supply chains. It estimated that the Apapa and Tin Can process 1.5 to 1.8 million 20-foot equivalent units annually. It added that incremental shipping line and terminal charges of 150,000 to 250,000 naira per container translates to an additional 225 billion to 450 billion naira annual cost burden on the economy. According to CEREC, these costs are ultimately passed on to manufacturers, importers, SMEs, and consumers, amplifying inflationary pressure.
The federal government has opened applications for the 2026 Petroleum Technology Development Fund (PTDF) Overseas Scholarship Scheme, offering Nigerian postgraduate students the chance to study in the United Kingdom, Germany, France, and Malaysia. This was announced on X by the special advisor to the president on social media, Dada Olusegun. Further information on the scholarship board's website noted that the scheme is open to MSc and PhD candidates in disciplines relevant to the oil and gas sector. It added that beneficiaries will receive full support, including tuition, return air tickets, accommodation and living allowances, health insurance, and bench fees where applicable. According to available information, the 2026 Overseas MSc and PhD scholarships provide access to world-class training, research facilities, and global expertise, while developing indigenous capacity in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. Meanwhile, all applicants are required to have their national identity number verified prior to application, while multiple applications or submission of falsified documents will result in automatic disqualification.
And now, the foreign scene. United States President Donald Trump says he no longer feels obligated to prioritize peace following his failure to win the Nobel Peace Prize, reiterating his demand for control of Greenland. In a message to Norway's Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store, Trump blamed Norway for not awarding him the prize, citing his achievements in stopping 8 wars. Store responded that the Nobel Peace Prize is awarded by an independent committee which awarded it to Venezuela's opposition leader, Maria Machado, and not the Norwegian government. The exchange has escalated tensions, with Trump threatening tariff hike on European countries, including Norway, over their opposition to his plan to acquire the Danish autonomous territory, Greenland.
Elsewhere, Russian President Vladimir Putin has received an invitation to join United States President Donald Trump's committee to oversee Gaza's reconstruction, called Board of Peace. Disclosing this on Monday, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the Kremlin is reviewing the invitation and seeking clarification on details from the U.S. side. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko also received an invitation, with its foreign ministry expressing appreciation for being considered for the noble responsibility of building lasting peace. Chaired by Trump, the Board of Peace aims to promote stability and peace in conflict-affected areas. However, members expected to contribute $1 billion for a permanent seat. Also invited are leaders like India's PM Narendra Modi, Hungary's Viktor Orban, and Turkey's Recep Erdogan.
Well, in business news, the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, has commenced consultation with critical stakeholders for new spectrum bands to boost the federal government's trillion-dollar digital economy prospect. NCC Executive Vice Chairman Dr. Aminu Maida said the engagements and presentations are on the development of the Spectrum Roadmap 2026-2030, the guidelines for opening the lower 6 gigahertz band for Wi-Fi 6, and the guidelines for opening the 60 gigahertz license exempt band for multi-gigabyte wireless systems. Addressing participants during the opening ceremony of the consultative forum in Abuja, Maida said the demand for spectrum was not only rising in the telecommunications industry, but that availability has also become imperative for Nigeria's accelerated growth and economic expansion. Represented by the head of Spectrum Administration, Atiku Lawal, Maida explained that the forum would create avenues for robust deliberations that will shape Nigeria's digital future. Meanwhile, he disclosed that the Commission was building an inclusive, innovative, resilient, and future-ready communications ecosystem, adding that at the heart of the sector lies spectrum, which he described as an indispensable national resource that powers telecoms connectivity.
Still in business, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has upgraded its growth forecast for Nigeria by 0.2% over its October 2025 projection, bringing it to 4.4% in 2026. Captured in its 2026 World Economic Outlook, the IMF said the estimate is based on Nigeria's improved macroeconomic conditions and reform momentum. According to the body, Nigeria's economy is expected to maintain a steady expansion path, rising from 4.1% in 2024 to 4.2% in 2025, then to 4.4% in 2026. The IMF said Nigeria's improved outlook mirrors a broader pickup across sub-Saharan Africa, where growth is projected to reach 4.6% in 2026 and 2027. It further attributed the regional performance to macroeconomic stabilization and continued reform effort across key economies. For Nigeria, the IMF identified energy prices as a critical factor shaping the 2026 outlook, stating that energy commodity prices are expected to decline by about 7% in 2026, largely due to weak global demand.
Well, in sports news, the Super Eagles of Nigeria have surged to 26th place in the latest FIFA World Ranking released on Monday, recording a remarkable 12th place jump. The Nigerian national team climbed from 38th after an impressive outing at the 2025 AFCON in Morocco, where they finished third overall. The Super Eagles are now the third best team in Africa, behind AFCON winners Senegal, which ranked 12th globally, and Morocco, which placed 8th in the world. Algeria and Egypt occupy 4th and 5th positions, respectively, on the African ranking. Meanwhile, Spain, Argentina, France, England, Brazil, Portugal, Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, and Croatia make up the world's top 10 teams in that order.
Still talking sports, President of the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, Ibrahim Gusau, has expressed confidence that the Super Eagles will achieve great success under coach Eric Shell. Gusau, who reflected on the team's third-place finish at the 35th Africa Cup of Nations AFCON, said the Eagles showed resilience and character.
You understand what security is all about if you understand what intelligence is all about.
January 2025 has led Nigeria in 17 competitive matches without defeat, winning 11 and drawing 6. Under his leadership, the Super Eagles scored a record 14 goals at the Morocco AFCON, remaining unbeaten in regulation time across 7 matches. President Shell's impact, Gusau noted, and the coach has shown enormous capacity within his first year in charge, adding that preparation for the next AFCON to be hosted by Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda will begin in March. According to him, the future looks very bright, with several key players who missed the Morocco tourney due to injury expected to return soon.
Entertainment news now. Veteran Nollywood actress Eucharia Nunobi has threatened legal action against the founder of Fresh Oil Ministry International Church, Sam Okpe, over claims that they were romantically involved for over 5 years. The dispute follows the circulation of a leaked audio in which Okpe and another cleric, Martins, allegedly discussed sexual relationships involving Anunobi and their church leader, Chikere Nwafo. Okpe, who had previously ordained Anunobi, apologized publicly, calling the recording disturbing and expressing embarrassment over the remarks. However, Anunobi condemned him as a monumental global shame and in an Instagram post denied the allegations, which she said caused her emotional trauma. She insisted that she had lived a celibate life since her ordination nearly 14 years ago. She has now launched legal proceedings against Okpe with Nigerian and United States authorities, citing defamation and long-standing threats to her ministry.
Meanwhile, actress Mercy Johnson has threatened legal action against platforms spreading false information about her and her family, as well as online trolls. In an Instagram video, the movie producer disclosed the following public support and respect for those who reached out. She has withdrawn charges against TikTok content creator Edie Bliss, who alleged that her husband bought a mansion for a mistress. However, Johnson stressed that she would not tolerate further false allegations as she prioritizes the family's peace. According to her, while she has chosen to drop this particular case, anyone who publicly alleges wrongdoing against her will have to prove it.
And that wraps it up for us in News Hour today. But before we go, a quick look at the headlines. We told you that Vice President Shettima has commissioned a Nigerian pavilion in Davos.
Also, local contractors picket Finance Ministry over 4 trillion naira debt.
Army dismisses reported planned mutiny over poor welfare.
Obi comments police says swift action shows Nigeria can defeat crime.
Obasanjo backs child advocacy and tasks pediatricians on compassion.
On the foreign scene, Trump links Nobel Prize snap to Greenland demand.
Well, in business news, we told you that the NCC has opened spectrum bands for economic expansion.
In sport, Nigeria climbs 12 places to 26th in latest FIFA ranking.
In entertainment news, Anunobi sues cleric over relationship claim.
Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People Television, and on other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. If you witness news happening near you, we want to hear from you. Send your eyewitness report, event coverage request, photos or videos directly via WhatsApp to 0814-606-4057. You can also reach our newsroom by email at news@vop.ng. I am Nenna Ndomdioto.
And I am Vivian Oguche. Thank you for watching.